see the connection. Therefore, it is inappropriate for you, as a particular human being subjectively, to push what you think is right or wrong, or judge another about right or wrong. See, in our culture, even to suggest that there is an absolute difference between good and evil, truth and falsehood, is to be viewed as some guy who just crawled out from under a rock after centuries and did not know that the intellectual elite had freed us from such bondage. This is where you get the crazy sayings about a young 16-year-old who might strap on a bomb and walk into a restaurant with babies and children and adults and grandparents and blow himself up and kill 23 people with him. And you'll get comments, well, you know, you may call it terrorism, but one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. There is a philosophy that is radically anti-God, anti-Scripture in the air. 26 years ago or so, Alan Bloom, a university professor, published his best-selling book, The Closing of the American Mind, getting at this problem. And I'm going to tell you, we're 26 years down the road, and there are things happening in our society right now that were unimaginable in 1986 to most of us. You know, I try to tell the teenagers in my own family and in this church at times, like the other day, you don't understand how radically different everything is from when I was in high school in the 70s. We could not imagine the type of litigation and laws that people are trying to make and to enforce today, just 30 years ago. Professor Bloom opens up the book this way. There is one thing a professor can be absolutely certain of. Almost every student entering the university believes, or says he believes, that truth is relative. If this belief is put to the test, one can count on the student's reaction. They will be uncomprehending. That anyone should regard the proposition, that there's absolute truth, or that relativism is not true, that anyone should regard the proposition as not self-evident, astonishes them, as though he were calling into question 2 + 2 = 4. Now, that, he goes on, that this is a moral issue for students is revealed by the character of their response when they are challenged in the classroom. A combination of disbelief and indignation. They say stuff like, "Are you an absolutist?" The only alternative they know, uttered in the same tone as, "Are you a monarchist? Or do you really believe in witches?" When you contend that there's such a thing as objective, absolute truth. He goes on, the danger that they have been taught to fear from absolutism is not error, but it is intolerance. Relativism is necessary to openness. And this is the virtue, the only virtue, which all primary education for more than 50 years has dedicated itself to inculcating. Just stop. Don't miss it. The reason why in our culture right now, the doctrine of openness to all lifestyles is so prevalent, and it's an issue in the courts to make legal homosexual or same-sex marriage, is because something has come prior to it. relativism. It is the maidservant of openness. No such thing as truth. Your belief system works for you, good. Your lifestyle works for you, feels good, do it. He goes on. Openness and the relativism that makes it the only plausible stance in the face of various claims to truth and various ways of life and kinds of human beings is the great insight of our times. The true believer in truth is the real danger. Last line. The point of all of this going on in our society is not to correct the mistakes and really be right. Rather, it is to not think that you are right at all. In other words, the God of our age, the idea that we are constantly told to bow down to in our culture, is that there is no objective standards, truth. There are no truths out there that are actually objectively, apart from whether you feel or think or agree or not, that they're actually true as opposed to false. The one main idea we are to worship is openness, non-judgmentalism. And there is a sin in this culture. The one sin that goes with it is this, that you would judge any other person's lifestyle, choices, actions, or belief systems as wrong. That's the one sin. Now, we could get into all the contradictions of relativism that are just so obvious and embedded in it, like there are no absolute truths except for the absolute truth. Did you hear it? That there are no absolute truths. But that's not the point this morning. The point is to recognize the reality of it, and that relativism has been embedded in the minds and the morals and even in the religions of people that hold to the irrational idea that we are never to open our mouths and question or express an opinion on the behavior or the beliefs of other people. Or if we do, somehow you would be coming under the condemnation of Jesus' words. Judge not, lest you be judged. Condemn not, lest you be condemned. To many people's way of thinking, this verse demands that we never exercise moral discernment when we are evaluating another person. That we never actually evaluate other people at all. And that we certainly never evaluate differing belief systems and judge them as wrong. We are told, we're even hounded by the political correct spirit of our age to show complete, utter tolerance. Which means you're not really allowed to say they're wrong. Or that expression of your sexuality is an expression of sinfulness.